Well, hi all. Good morning. My name is Arthur Williams. I'm an instructional coach at Lakeside Academy, and I'm going to be helping to, or not helping, I guess I'll be primarily leading this session today around ClassDojo through the lens of creating relationships and helping to support communication. Now, the focus is primarily K through 2 because that's the official supported grade bands. However, if you're a 3 through 5 teacher or a related arts teacher or anything, feel free to stick around. You'll see a lot of things that'll be useful, and certainly Class Dojo is appropriate for those grade bands as well. We have the amazing Jessica Ghazi representing on the chat today. She's going to be taking care of any of your questions that pop up while I am running the presentation, because it's just a little difficult to see during that part. But, and I say this every time, but let me just say it loud and clear here. If you've got something and you just want to jump in yourself, absolutely take that microphone on or put it on and feel free to just say, hey, dude, you're going too fast. And I'll be like, sorry, I can't help that. But at least I'll hear your question and I'll see what I can do about it. So as we talk about questions and getting started here, I do want to make sure you're aware that this is being recorded. So if you hadn't seen the little red light in the top left corner, that this is a recorded session and will be available by this afternoon. Full transparency, I did forget to put yesterday's up. However, Mondays and Tuesdays are on there, and I will add yesterday's as well. So by this afternoon, you should be able to see both Wednesday and Thursday, which are all repeats of the Monday session. So same content. If you plan on joining next week on Monday through Thursday, those are new sessions built around norms. So today is really the communication lens, relationship start formation, and then next week will be around setting up classroom structures and helping to set those norms up. Essentially, a very active set of lessons for people who want to get into your own class dojo. Um, Setup, getting things going, and really making it work the way that you need it to. So that's coming up next week. As we get ready to get started, I do want to give an opportunity for us to talk. Right now, we've obviously had a whole lot of talk around next year and what things may or may not look like. I know if any of you are like me, you got about 40 messages saying you can sign up for whatever next year if you're a parent and teacher. So I certainly had my email, Facebook, and text messages going off there. But I wanted to just check in and see how many of you have already used ClassDojo in some capacity, and if you wouldn't mind saying how you used it. And you can just either pop in with voice or type that in the chat. We'll just pause here for a moment. Okay, Holly's saying behavior points, parent communication. Yeah, that's what we see a lot of behavior management there. Communication popping up there. Jamie Baylor with none. Okay, there's a couple with none there. Oh, good. And Miss, it says DEFUR. I'm not going to attempt to butcher that name, but hopefully you will be able to jump in when we get to the translation features as well there. So a few others with none. Okay, well, that's awesome. And then video of PE class. Hopefully Coach B will elaborate on that a little bit. But yeah, I mean, we do have a recording feature in Class Dojo, so maybe that's what he used. But I certainly would love to hear a little later on about that. So that's great. We've got a variety of usages there. If you've never used it, that's perfectly fine. You're still in the right place. We are going to go through it um, from nuts to bolts there. And oh, we've got a Seesaw user there. Absolutely. There's going to be a few key differences here. Mainly, there's no money involved at any point with Class Dojo, and yet you still get all the complete suite of tools that we're going to show. Um, and Coach B, I'm not going to cross promote Seesaw here. Great tool, but you'll have to check that out on your own. And we're going to get into Class Dojo getting started up here. So again, one more time, and I'm getting ready to get officially started. I probably will edit the video to everything before this point. So if you need to duck out for witness protection, now's the time, and I will make sure to cut this piece before that. Thanks for the thumbs up. All right. So then, okay, wait, defer on decat. I love it. I love it. That's it. Defer. She southerned it for me. I like that. That'll take care of that. Thank you. Thank you. And then yeah, here before using Remind and wanted to go back. Very cool. Yeah, I'm a former Remind user now, full class dojo. So definitely can relate to that. All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and switch over again. If you want to say something, feel free to turn on your mic and jump in or type it in the chat. And Jessica will go ahead and get that over to me and maybe even answer your question on her own. So I'm going to alter my view here of all your amazing faces so that I can see what I'm supposed to be seeing. All right. Well, I do want to. We're going to do this in kind of two parts. One is going to be a very quick overview using this materials in the presentation. We're really going to show you everything that you might be needing to know about Class Dojo, particularly as it relates to like the communication and relationship piece. Most people are familiar with giving points, so we won't dwell too much on that piece right now. We're going to go through that pretty quickly, but by all means, when we get into some of the norms, we will come back to the that points piece next week. Okay, so as we look at Class Dojo, we can consider how our current situation is kind of leading us here to have this conversation. When we transitioned in March into virtual learning or remote learning, we had all kinds of stuff. As a parent of three Hamilton County Schools children, I had contacts coming through me through Facebook. I had Blooms, I had Class Dojo, I had Remind, um, and I don't know, maybe there were some other things, but those are the four that jump out right away that I remember. And all of that was just to communicate with families and help my first grade, fourth grade, and seventh grade daughter get their work done. So we had a lot of different things going on, and that's in addition to Google Classroom and some of those others. So we're looking to really um, streamlined this year by Hamilton County is officially, I say officially, supporting because that means they will have help if you need it. Supporting two venues, Canvas, as everyone knows and loves. That my friend, as I tell everyone, Canvas and I are starting a relationship, and it's got potential, but we're still getting to know each other, and we'll see where it goes. But it's definitely got a lot of power. But for our K through 2 users, um, they recognize that Canvas can be very text heavy, overwhelming, and dense to access and get into it, particularly for our non-readers. So Class Dojo represents a supported alternative to Canvas, or as it says here, an LMS, Learning Management System. So if we have questions on that, by all means, type those in. But suffice to say, what that means is that K through 2 will have official support, and I'm sure 3 through 5 can get in on that as well for using Canvas or using Class Dojo rather, if you choose to use it instead of or in combination with Canvas. So these are some of the needs that became apparent at the end of last school year and even over the summer. And all of these needs, I will say, are being and will be addressed by Class Dojo. And there's even some content that's currently being created in Class Dojo's team that will be ready in August, perhaps even as early as the end of July. So we'll go through all of these needs, how they are addressed in using Class Dojo, and hopefully a whole lot more. So let's kind of get into some of it. So ClassDojo has all of these features. It's a parent communication tool, PBIS Align, that's positive behavior intervention system, or as some schools call it, their school-wide positive, behavior system, something like that. But it is very much aligned with that. When we say student portfolio here, this is just a record of all of their work that is submitted digitally. So I've always dreamed as a third grade and fourth grade teacher for over a decade that I had a way to make an easy digital portfolio for student work. And ClassDojo does it for you, and it does it very well. It's very compact, and that portfolio travels from year to year, so even better. I do want to note we did have some confusion around the word portfolio yesterday. This is not a curated selection of students' best work. It represents the entirety of all of their work. So when you hear the word portfolio from this point on, think of it in that manner as a a great big old briefcase full of everything that the kid's ever done rather than more of like an artist curated box. And speaking of box, we have the teacher toolbox, and that's where we'll start. We'll actually work from backwards to forwards on this presentation as we get into it. All right, so let's start with getting signed in. I know for my school, getting those kids logged in was huge, right? And that was after we'd had them for three-fourths of the school year. So we were primarily a Chromebook school. So if you see over here on this side, you can sign in with Google in ClassDojo. You can also, if kids are in front of you, this is a nice, easy way here in the physical space. You can put a text code on the screen, usually 6 characters, letter number combination, and they can type that in, and or they can use a QR code, and that's a really nice one when you send this home. As you look here at the bottom, pickle, that's Miss Ryan's student, and we're going to be using a lot of Colleen Ryan's material here because she is actually a kindergarten teacher in Hamilton County and has shared these resources with me because she pivoted to using ClassDojo when we moved to virtual learning. So we'll see a lot of those things because I think it's going to be important for you to see how it was actually used with kindergarten aged students. But this is her fake student, Pickle Snickle, and this is an example of what a parent would get, how you would log in. As a parent who's received this piece right here with the link for login instructions, I will say it's very comprehensive and easy to follow. So you get multiple avenues for your child to log in, and the best piece is they can do it on their own. So the parent doesn't have to continue to jump in each and every day to say, hey, let's go figure out what you have to do for your work today. The kids can do it completely on their own. And I say that as a first grade parent. So that was definitely a lifesaver for the one teacher that was using ClassDojo. And then over here on the top left, it talks about individual messages created for parents. And again, that's just talking about this information that goes home with you and with your student. Student independence, I've already spoken to a little bit, but we're going to elaborate just a little bit. Here's a sample student, Bradley Pitt. You can see on this is the view that the student would have in an app, and I believe this one's for iOS, so like an iPhone app. ClassDojo is compatible with iOS, Android, Kindle Fire, and Chrome browsers, or any kind of browser, but Chrome is the one that we use at my school. So you can access ClassDojo in multiple ways and do work, submit work, read everything in all of those manners. So here's a quick snapshot of what it would look like from that student's one. They can respond in different ways. And so you see here, it mentions text or voice. I will say they can actually do video as well and drawing. So all of those are ways that they can respond and submit their work. You'll see here, this is a to-do, and we're going to get into that a little bit more, but this is going to be a sample of what students will be able to see as they get going in their work. So here's the same view that the student would have, but this is when they log in through the web browser. So now they've got a little different look and a little different interface there. Here are all the different manners in which they can interact. They can attach files. They can even do a little journal. And this is not all of these outside of an assignment. None of these are connected necessarily to an assignment, though they certainly can be. But if the kid is just really, if you have like an introspective child and just wants to reflect, that's an option here as well. And that's, again, not tied to an assignment. When they click the start button here, like you can see for these two assignments, then they'll still get those tools, but they will be tied to that assignment. So reflect on previous work and track progress in one spot. So this is great. Over here on this side, you can see if the student is in multiple classes, maybe you're a departmentalized elementary school, they could go and click here to get their assignments for reading, their assignments for their science, their assignments for the math class. So these are going to represent their classes that that child is enrolled in. It might be their related arts teacher. You may have math or PE or music over there as well. So that is where they would find all of that. One of the coolest things about the to-do here, and they can hit view all, so there may be more than 2 assignments here. These are arranged from oldest to newest, so the oldest ones always pop up on top. When they hit start, they'll go ahead and do that. And then it goes away from their to-do list, right? So it just zoop, it goes away. So that was one of the coolest things that I felt like in comparison with Google Classroom that I used with students last year was Sometimes my students had some issues with figuring out where stuff was, as far as had I done this yet or not? Had I submitted it yet or not? Have I handed it in? Or did I just do it and forget to click that hand in button, that turn in button? So this one here makes it really clear. When you finish and you hand it in, it goes away. And it only comes back if the teacher returns it to you. So it makes it a very clean interface there. This is what it looks like on the teacher side as you get ready to get started assigning work. It's a pretty straightforward bit of business here. You'll set in your title, you give instructions for the kids like, hey, go ahead and write 3 sight words for me, and they'll do that. And you can choose the manner in which they get to respond. So other than text, all of these, the video, the photo, and the drawing, they have multiple tools available. So even in the video, there's a way for them to type some text, or even in the drawing, they could do text and do some recording of audio. So these three here are very versatile. The text one's pretty limited. It's just text. If you select that as a response, the child can only type on the computer. That's it, or on the app. The worksheet one is in beta, but this is the one that Colleen Ryan, who I mentioned earlier, is also a ClassDojo ambassador. And she has been able to get in contact with them. Like that's like the Superman of ClassDojo people, in case you didn't know. And so when she calls, they pick up the phone, and so that's really great to have someone in Hamilton County with that level of access. But what this is you'll be able to take a picture or create a PDF of a physical or digital worksheet, upload that to ClassDojo, and the students can annotate right on the top of that. So no special tricks needed, no enabling Cami in Google Drive or anything else. They just get the sheet, write on it, hand it in. So um, I don't know if that deserves a hallelujah, but we can go ahead and say that that's going to be pretty amazing. And before you ask, well, when will that be available? They told her, they said that will guaranteed be available for school years or for school districts that start in August. And in fact, last week when they spoke to her, they said a couple of weeks, I believe, was the timeline they gave. So my hope is a couple of weeks means by the end of July. So that should be a very welcome and useful feature for many things as we get going into that. This is a sample of what the teacher will see for an assignment. So this is a practice assignment called math work. These are the directions piece, solve the equation. Down here, you'll see a little green one that shows about how many I, as a teacher, have approved, how many are waiting. So this means the kids have turned them in, but I haven't done anything with it yet. And then these are how many people who haven't done anything with it yet. It says 5 not yet submitted. So that's just kids that haven't done it. So these are the ones you want to check in on over time. Here's an example of if they turned in this math work with the 2 plus 2 equals 4, I could literally just hit play and listen to that child explain this work as they're drawing it on the screen. So this is a little quick snapshot with the comments that can go back and forth. Teacher can send that comment to the child. They can send comments back. So very cool. And by the way, so can parents. Parents can see and comment on their children's work, and only their children's work. I will say that represents a little bit of a difference for the person who's here from Seesaw. I believe in Seesaw, if I recall my usage of it, you could approve an assignment of a child and it would go into the main class story feed, which is not the case here. The individual students' work doesn't get put into the class story unless you allow comments or responses by students to that class story, and then that is still public. So all right, so we have students submitting assignments here, and we'll get into this again. This is just the overview, but you can see how basic and quick it is, right? And you start the assignment, they do the work, then they're going to see this hand in button. Their response types will be based on what the teacher has set, and it's all pretty straightforward and user friendly. So, one of the tests I did when we were looking at different options for this summer with the district is I told my first grade daughter I made assignments in multiple platforms and just said, hey, get in here, figure out how to log in, and complete the assignment I gave you. So I will say ClassDojo was the only one that she was able to do that completely independently with no assistance from me, whatever. And Seesaw was one of those platforms that we tested as well. So she got in very quickly, was able to figure out the assignment work, and even customize her avatar, which is big fun. I mean, who doesn't want your little dojo monster looking look and turn up. All right, so let's keep going. This is the communication tools piece, and this is one of the most powerful tools in ClassDojo. You can see here, this is what it would look like on kind of a cell phone one, and it represents the class story. So this is Miss Harwick, or yeah, I think it's Harwick, sending a message out to her class, and so it's being seen by 12 means that if the teacher clicks on this portion, they can literally see which families or parents have seen this message. Kind of like a Facebook wall, you can see the likes there, or an Instagram feed. Your conversations, this is kind of on like the parent end. You can look and see, oh, okay, these are the people that I can interact with, that my child is connected to in one way or another, and I can click on that and get those threads of conversations there. It's very cool, and one of the best features is the translation, over 35 languages. As a teacher, I set my language, invite a parent, and when the parent receives that invite and they go to set their end up, they can choose what language they want that to be translated into. So if they're receiving English text, but they want to read it in Spanish, they absolutely can do that. And when they respond back to me in Spanish, I, as a teacher, can select, I'd like to see that in English. By the way, it will show you both versions, both languages. So if you just want to check the veracity of that translation on your own, you can do that. But ClassDojo will take its best shot at that as well. Yeah, so we'll go again, we'll see that a little more detail. As we look at the communication tools, it's not just instant message style, like remind style, it's also class story type conversations where it goes to every single person. This is a really powerful tool, and we'll spend a good bit of our time here as we get into the actual demo of the classroom. But these are your interactions. This is just what it looks like as you get ready to get started making a post. Here's a sample of one that's finished. Oh, Miss Ryan's just posted this in here, and there's a hyperlink to registration. So it's right there. Parents can see it. Literally click on it. I can check and see who's viewed it. We can see who's liked it, and you can go ahead and keep doing. The recordings are limited to 8 minutes. However, I suppose if you needed to do more, you could certainly do multiple ones, but my goodness, let's try to keep those below 8 minutes, I hope. And if you do an event, it will stay at the top of the feed until that event's date passes. So that's great. We also have a variation of this called school story, and that is any teacher that is assigned to that school can post to the school story. And that doesn't go to just one class, that goes to every class, every student, every parent in the entire school. Great and easy way for school leaders or administrators to get information out to the community with a very quick bit of business. And again, all of these features are still available for the school story. It does differentiate and let you know, like if Miss Ryan posts to the school story, it will say it came from Miss Ryan. Great for your related arts teachers too, who may need to get information out to the entire school and not have to go to Miss Ryan and say, hey, Miss Ryan, can you send this message through your Remind link and to all of your class, and then repeat that over and over to get a hold of everyone. They can do it themselves. So great tool. All right, I'm going to take a brief pause here, see if any questions have popped up before we go and get into the actual test drive of a ClassDojo account. That's great. Just read back in the chat. I see Terry with the hallelujah. I'm assuming that was with the worksheet feature. And yes, go ahead and praise the Lord on that one, because it is going to be excellent. All right. Well, I don't hear any questions, not seeing any hands.
I have a question.
Oh, go ahead.
So we're talking about the school story. Is there an option if I wanted to limit it to just a grade level? So if I wanted to send a message to all of the kindergarten classes, but not necessarily the whole school?
You know, that's a really good question, Ms. Francesi. I don't believe there is a way to limit that. I can select individual, if I'm within a class, I can select individual parents or students. But yeah, see, Colleen Ryan, our superstars in here, says you would have to message each class. So I don't think I can like highlight a band of classes, for example, and send that to all of them. But that's a great question. Maybe Colleen will get on the phone with Dojo and say, "Hey, another recommended tip for you guys to work on." So, but the short answer is no. So you cannot just select a specific grade band. Any others? All right. Well, thanks for the quick save, Colleen. Well, let's get into seeing some actual classes here. And I'm going to switch over to this one. All right. So let's go back to the classroom. So this is Colleen's class, who's in here, and also doing Camp K simultaneously, so she can't help drive this. So if I struggle bus too much, I'm sure she'll jump in and say, "Oh no, that was totally wrong." But here, let me tell you the right thing. But here we go. So this is the class view, and this is where most people are familiar with, right? They can see on here, oh, I've got, London. I want to give London some points for doing a great job on their last assignment, or walking in the hallway, or what have you. And this is what you usually see. This are these positive behavior interventions that you can use with your students, as represented by their avatars in ClassDojo. So this is pretty familiar. As I said, though, we're going to start backwards and we're going to go with the toolkit. So if you look down here at the bottom, you can see here that this is the toolkit. When I click on that, I get all of these choices. And I'm going to tell you, these are pretty amazing, right? The timer I use all the time. And the timer, when you click on that, actually gives you a countdown or a count up. So you get like a stopwatch variation as well. Here's just a random selection, like how any of my old school teachers in here used to just have craft sticks with names of kids on there, and you just pull them out for if you need to do a cold call. This one will help you make groups. So within ClassDojo, you can have groupings of children, and you can change that. So that might be, my A group, C group, whatever, as I need there. This is a good one for in class, students in front of you. It's just a noise meter. Use the microphone on whatever device you have that pulled up on. Music is pretty cool. I like to show this one. It's only 2 flavors, but it's always changing, and they don't have lyrics. So this one's a little bit upbeat, and this is just a little bit more contemplative. So you get 2 flavors, and again, it always changes, and it has no lyrics. So I think it's awesome. Kind of morning message stuff, think, pair, share, directions you can keep on the board. One of the nicest interactions that you can do with this is, because you can be logged on to your ClassDojo account from multiple devices simultaneously, and they do update, I might put something on the board connected with the directions here, connected to my laptop or one of those nice premium Hamilton County black laptops there. And but I could be on my phone as I walk around the class, also logged in, also using the directions, and make those updates as needed, and then refresh, and it'll show up on the screen. So that's a nice feature. Let's see if this closes today, because it hasn't been doing that. So that's a nice feature, and the toolkit's really powerful. 2 of those features are so useful that they broke them out and put them down at the bottom. You can see the timer right here and the random, both broken out of the toolkit as well, so you can access them quickly right there. The attendance one, I use that one as well, and that was more just, obviously it doesn't go into Power School, but it was a quick version. If I've already had this up, a kid came in late, you could go and click on said child. Oops, sorry, I don't want to see the points. You can go ahead and hit attendance, and then as you go through, they give you some variations for being absent, for being maybe tardy or left early. That's all in there. So, and it'll remind you down here at the bottom what.
Hey, Arthur, can we jump in with a quick question?
Sure.
So we have a question from Katie. She asked if parents can communicate with one another through ClassDojo. She said she used ClassTag last year, and parents were able to comment on her story, and that was visible for everybody.
So that I hear, so 2 different things. Individual communication with each other through ClassDojo is not permitted. I can't have, Jimmy John's mom message Ray John's mom through ClassDojo privately, unless they know each other's phone number, and then they can do what they want. However, the second portion of that, what you said, which on your class story, yes, that those comments from parents are visible to everyone. Now you can turn off parent commenting. You can make it a completely one-way transaction with teacher to community. However, if you do allow parent comments, then they are visible to everyone. So that is that's a similar feature.
Just on a follow-up there, what about scheduling things like conference or signups? Is that something that's easily done through there? Can you talk us through that?
Yeah, so I think what I'm hearing is, and I'm going to go ahead and maybe give you a little more than what you were asking for, but if you're looking for like a built-in, like a Google Scheduler, or I think I have Sign Me Up is one that I've seen, or there's a few like conferencing style apps, even Slack has something. It doesn't have any of those functions built in. So by way of setting up parent conferences, it's just the enabling of that teacher-parent communication. So just think of it as a way to get a hold of parents. I can set that up, but it doesn't have that automatic time slot reservation that you would see in some of those dedicated apps like that.
Thank
But
you.
as my wife in the background just mentioned, you could certainly link to it, and that's where I'm going to go next to show you guys how
Yeah.
to link some of those items into your ClassDojo.
Colleen mentioned that as well. She said you can put a link to Google Form or Sign Up Genius in there.
Man, there's a reason why I hang around with women above my grade. So perfect. That's great. Both of them bringing in the heavy hitter comment that I didn't think of. So awesome. All right. Yeah, let's get there. Let's go there now. So I'm going to jump over here to the class story piece. In fact, Miss Ryan just posted one last night because I'm linked as a teacher to her fake student, and I got notified that hey, Miss Ryan put some stuff in here. So you can see here about some HCS learning options and all of that. So I'm going to go back down here though, because I want to go to what it looked like the last week of kindergarten. So this is a sample schedule here that she did for her kiddos at the end of last school year. You could see here that Ms. Ryan was really cool, had a format that she went ahead and gave an overview for the week, and then a breakout here aimed mainly at the parents. And so as teachers of the youngers, of the littles, we definitely need the parents to be involved. And we definitely need to make sure that we're communicating and facilitating that communication with them just as much as we are with the kiddos. So yeah, we've got to encourage and push that independence, but we have to recognize for our kindergarten babies and those others that they're going to need a little bit more support. And so we want to make sure that that's easy for families. As a parent, this type of thing that I had from two of the teachers was awesome. This weekly overview, just showing how you could have everything kind of set up for the week. I knew, my daughter knew exactly what was going down, and we literally printed this out and crossed it off. It was like a glorious thing to just say, we're done with everything for Monday, and be ready with that. So that's a great one there. You'll notice that this is clickable. It's a hyperlink, so parents, students could go ahead and just click directly on that, and it opened up that Google Doc. Down here, if we click on this one, it's going to be a Google slide that opens up view only, so that those reading it can't interact with it or mess it up. And here you can see, just information straight to the parents. Great stuff, helping them understand exactly what it is. This is some information for you. So parents can definitely be involved and help in that. So I show you those examples because they really, I think, show a great example of what you could use this for. You don't have to feel like your Google tools are no longer available, right? Just because they're not natively integrated into Google Classroom or like they are in Google Classroom. Here in ClassDojo, you can still use those materials. You just hyperlink them right in here, and so you can get to that. And so getting back to that comment we had about maybe some of those parent conference scheduling, you could go ahead and just have that as an activity here or in your class story and say, hey, click on this link to arrange for that conference. I'm going to go back up to the top because I want to show you this. As we talk about parent conferences, that might be a great one to make an event for as well. You would go ahead and say, hey, the conference is coming up on this date. That'll keep it up here for a good while until that event shows up. And so it'll stay at the top of your feed. If you're looking at this on the mobile, it'll keep it right up here at the top again until that goes by. And there can be links embedded in that event as well. So they could see that, click on the links, and go to where you want them to sign up for that parent conference. By the way, you could even record a little message like, here's how you do it when you get in there. And then maybe a little screencastify or something if you wanted to upload a file to show exactly how to interact with that parent conference sign up. I know there's nothing worse than maybe that parent that signs up for 4 slots because they just didn't think the first 3 worked. And so now you've got 4 different ones and you've got to go through and filter and say, hey, which one of these did you really mean? And erase those. So that's what we have, just the basics on the class story. Again, this is, this goes to everyone. Trying to move this person here, faces over out of the way. Let's go into the messaging. So this fits more like the remind feature, right? I can go ahead and send it to everyone. I can individually tag or message parents. There's Pickle Snickle. Oh, I'm one of the parents of Pickle Snickle. So you can message those people. I'm going to go to mine because I don't want to violate anyone's privacy here, but I'm going to go to the parent view on my account. And so from here, these represent the teachers that I, through my children, were connected to in various ways. And so there's quite a few there. But here's one that just representing a thread from me about my daughter going back and forth between that teacher. You can see the teacher embedded an image here to look at getting into Learn Zillion, giving different pictures of files that they had. So it's pretty robust. I've never seen anything. I had a question yesterday about, is there a limit to how much you can type or put in here or the file size? But when you click on any of these, you don't really get any message that. So I'll say for me, I've never run into any file size limits or text character limits. However, maybe Colleen will jump in if she sees that, if she's mentioned or seen that anywhere. But it's very, it's very robust on here. Now, my language is English, so I don't have anything set up on here because we matched up. But again, this would be where parents would be able to set their language. And on the app, it makes it something that you do right from the start. So you don't have to mess with it after that. And from the parent view, this is what they see. They'll see all their children. They'll see their the messages from the teachers here in their stream. So that's what we've got. Going to take a quick pause. If there's any questions over, we're going to kind of move from the communication piece into the portfolios now. We'll kind of live there for a little bit.
Colleen just added a comment in here that there is no limit on the messages and they are saved in a cloud, so you can always download them if needed. And she says that works even if the parent tries to delete the message.
Oh, snap, documentation. Wait a minute. No, Miss Principal Lady, she called me this, and here's the message. Maybe that's my ozone background showing. Anyway, so this is the student portfolio side on the teacher end. So what I've got here is I can see the activities, and you can just kind of view activities the way you would view the word assignments, okay, or tasks. You can see Miss Ryan's got a few here recently and these aren't dates, by the way. This represents how many students have turned in or been approved out of the total number of students. So that's why we're always seeing a 21 over here on the side. So in this case, 5 out of 21 students had that assignment approved. You can go and see all the archived one, and I recommend archiving older assignments because you can see if you don't, your feed can get pretty long. So archiving those will keep that area kind of cleaned up for you. You can view all posts, which means every single assignment that's been turned in from every single kiddo, or you can go directly into assignments. So I can go into social studies and just see the content that's been submitted within that specific assignment. Again, as we showed you before, these 3 were approved, means like, hey, good job, you did it. These are pending, so there's 0 here. That would just mean they had submitted it, but Ms. Ryan hadn't done anything with it yet. And then there's 18 that are not yet submitted. Oh, that is something that I realized I didn't show back here on the class story. Down here on the comments and views, if you go, I talked about that earlier, I can see who's viewed it, and I can see also who has not seen it. So that's a useful bit of business if you want to keep up with which parents and students are actually seeing your messages and follow up with those who are not. All right, going back to the portfolios. So within here, if you want to create an activity, it's pretty straightforward. I did this fake one yesterday and had Pickle Snickle answer it. But if you go to create, again, this is pretty straightforward. Like we had before. I'll go ahead and show you maybe what the drawing one looks like. So we just did something like practice and then practice directions. I will say this, inside of these individual assignments, you'll notice I don't get a feature in here for me as the teacher to record my directions, right? So I can't say, oh, kiddos, let's click this and I'll give you your directions. So that's a little bit of a limitation right now inside of this. However, if I do put a hyperlink in here, like maybe a YouTube link or something in here, and the student has ClassDojo on an app, maybe a Kindle or an Android tablet, if I put a hyperlink in here, the student can click on it and go to that. So I know Ms. Ryan may have had mentioned that she had done that with some of her directions to put links in there and the kiddos could click on it within here. But there is a catch. If they open this up in a browser, say using Chrome or their Chromebook or whatever, and they see that hyperlink in here, it is not clickable. And I'll show you that right here on this one. This one you can see we put a practice link in this one in test. And that link I'm using a browser right now. I can't, it's not hyperlinked, so I can't actually click on that. So of course, then you're like, well, what does that mean? Do my kindergartners have to learn how to copy and paste this into their browser? And you're like, that's insanity. No way. No one's going to do that. So in that case, if you have that concern, definitely go back to the class story and again, use Miss Ryan's method as your workaround, right? Remember, everything was here in the class story. Class story links are always clickable. They're always hyperlinked. And so everything here is available. This isn't a bad idea either to make sure that it's going to your students as well as parents. While parents can see their individual work, we all probably have that experience with maybe a parent who just didn't quite understand what was going on, but rather than call you, they call a friend. Well, if this is going to every single parent, then they call that friend, they all get the same message. So they can help each other as they're trying to navigate through that. So just that one caveat to make sure that if you are putting in a hyperlink in the assignment, that will not be clickable for those using a browser. On the student end, it's pretty straightforward. I'm going to go over here to Pickle Snickle. This is a kid view, and you can see this is what it looks like in their home base. You can see all their classes that they have to the left. They've got their assignments and things, again, tools that are not assignment connected, and they can see the stories. But I'm going to go into view all so I can see, because it is arranged chronologically to this test assignment, and start that. And you can see this one here. Pretty straightforward, right? I can do, let me move this out the way. I'm not seeing all of my tools here because I should have some drawing tools for this one. Oh, no, this is the text one. That's right. So when you set it up as text, it is not, that's all you get, right? We said that one's pretty limiting. So let me go ahead and do a fake one. And I was in the middle of doing drawing, and we'll just do practice. So if I assign that to the class and then come over here and refresh that, we'll see that pop up on the bottom. There we are. So when I start this one, so now I've got my drawing tools, I can still use text, as I said before, in here, and I can even use some audio. So if I was drawing and I wanted to talk about how, again, I'm doing that 2 + 2, I could still record my voice while doing that. And I'm not going to hit record now because I'm using the microphone for Zoom, so it's going to freak out. But I could have that recorded while doing my work, and then click the hand in button. And when you do hand that in, it just goes away from your to-do list. So like if I scroll back down, practice is no longer in there. And then on the teacher end, I can go ahead and hit refresh, and just that easy. We can see that, oh, I've got pending approval from Pickle Snickle. So when you get into that assignment, you can, if I had clicked a video feature, it would be right here. If I had audio, I can approve it, I can return as a draft, and I can even give some comments to Pickle Snickle about what work needs to be done. If I really perhaps needed some in-depth commentary, I could give a link to a video response. But I'm going to encourage you guys to consider another avenue for your assignments. As we look at this, we have tons of great tools built into Dojo. And I think that that's going to be pretty powerful. But you also, from the district, have another option available to you this year, and that's going to be using Nearpod. And Nearpod has many of the same interactivity features built in by way of drawing, submitting video, not quite as streamlined for your littles as this, but what it does do is it gives you back some of the customization that is available that you may feel like you're missing from Google Classroom, where I could say, hey, every Google Classroom, make a copy of this document for every single kid, and then make it easy for them to turn that back into me. Well, with Nearpod, I still get that. I can put one link in the class story to the Nearpod assignment. Every kid will get essentially their own copy as they access that. And as a teacher, I get individual data on every student. And I still get, those video interactions. I still get the drawing. I still get the flip grid. I still get vocabulary, all of those great tools in Nearpod, and they can all be embedded in here. So if you want to know more about that, Jessica Ghazi is our resident superwoman on that, and she can, flex it up. So she's been doing some sessions on Nearpod this week. You can go back and watch the videos on those in the same PD sheet location where you got to this class. I did see a couple of things. Yeah, go ahead.
Real quick, before you got to the Nearpod stuff, we had a quick question about assignments that are inside of ClassDojo. Is a student able to work on that and then take a break and come back? Do they have that ability?
Yeah, so if I was here and let's go to this test one because I was not here, and I'm just like, oh, I'm tired, right? I don't want to keep working on this. I can go and just save it, and then I don't have to hand it in, right? That's still there, but I just saved it. So I'm just going to hit close now, and then I can come back. See here, it says draft. I can come back to that and hit the edit, and that's the case for any assignment. So if I'm not satisfied, if I just need to, take a break or go outside and get some sun, that's fine. You can do that and come back to it later. So good question. Any others? Okay, so again, as I was just mentioning, if you are considering that, I think Nearpod is being paid for. Well, I know it's being paid for by the district, but I think that it'll give us a little more power with our usage of ClassDojo. So that's really, I'm hoping, going to be a great integration that we can use, a little app smash going on here. And I think that brings me to the end of what I was wanting to show here. We've gone from messages, class story, and portfolios and classrooms. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen here and get back into the main crew and see if there's anything that I've missed. Just reading back through the chat here. Yeah, and great questions from Katie Hansen there too. That's right. All right, so what are you guys excited about? Any questions about the world of Hamilton County schools in general, our learning management system options? Do you know what ClassLink is and how we're going to use that? I mean, anything on your mind, because we've got 1 minute over time that we've gone, or 2 minutes now, but I'm happy to answer those if you want to stick around, but we did promise a 45-minute session. Did we, yes, Reading Eggs is going to be paid for this year around. I've already heard that message. And Ghazi, we keep having this question about what's being paid for this year. We really need to get a list of everything that's available for everybody in the district. So
yeah, I agree.
That's definitely, I don't know if you guys have seen that image that's been going out to families about kind of the, how you go from ClassLinks to either Canvas or Dojo, and then there's a list of apps that go along with those. Some of them are paid for, some of them are not paid for, but those are going to be the main ones that are focused. I'm pretty sure Reading Eggs is in that list, but we do have others that are not. All right, guys, I'm going to grab unless Jessica's already done this, I'm going to grab the form you need to get paid today if you are interested in that. So we've got that hyperlink in the chat right there. A little birdie may have told me that money may be a little light on getting everyone paid here, so fill that out early. Don't wait. Go ahead and get that in there as soon as you can. How do I register for messages coming back from Mrs. Defer? Absolutely, that's great. Yeah, I'm glad to hear that that's working out for you. But once again, check out that form, that Google form. This session has again been recorded and it will be up by this afternoon. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me via email. I'm happy to do that. That's Williams_A and send the chat there. And then also Miss Ryan has graciously agreed to answer questions as well. And hers, Colleen Ryan, she is also listed there. Just between you and me and everyone else in here, she's way more skilled, so get her first. And then I'm happy to follow up with tech support on the back end there. Any other questions or comments? If again, no obligation to stick around at this point, and I'll hang out for a little while if you have anything. So.
I just wanted to add in, I see a lot of CSLA teachers on here, and this is Ruby Hubbock. She was really excited when I told her, so hey, she just wanted to say hi. I couldn't get Otto away from Fortnite, but Ruby came. So.
That is hilarious. And yeah, you guys are welcome. And all right, let's see. Oh, good. It looks like Colleen was already gone when I threw her under the bus. Awesome. Just hanging around. Any questions? And you are welcome, Camellia. Yes, I know, Jamie. I just didn't want to shout out. I was like, oh, and she just got engaged. What? So, congrats to everyone. And I definitely will tell her hi.
Yeah, we're celebrating the engagement.
Good.
It'll be exciting.
Very exciting. Very exciting.
Where do your kids go to school, Arthur?
I've got 2 at Ottawa Elementary and 1 at Hunter. So we're kind of over in that Highlander area. So
they all did ClassDojo?
No, they did not all do ClassDojo. We had like I said, a big, a panoply of communication options.
Okay, this sounds exciting. I think Camellia and I are really working hard on this.
Awesome, awesome. Oh yeah, Holly, thanks for, I think I saw that question earlier and didn't respond to it. Yeah, you had it earlier. Sorry about that. Holly asked, what is Kiddom? Yeah, Kiddim's everything, right? It's got all kinds of stuff here. Essentially, at least we're going to be looking at Kiddom as just the online digital component to the EL curriculum. And so it's got a whole lot of facets and tools and resources all connected. It's got those Detroit model EL slides already embedded in there. It has all of your EL printed materials are digital and you can edit them. You can even add little videos and notes to yourself on there. So that's going to be great. And it's going to allow your kiddos to get access to those decodables, those workbook pages, all that stuff. They can get that access to that at home or digitally. So that'll be a really neat tool. I know Dr. Stewart's working on getting that rolled out, just making sure that it's done in a very teacher-friendly and kind manner and not overwhelming. So she's really just trying to let it ease people into that. But there's been a few teachers piloting Kiddom, and so far they've all loved it. Yep, you're welcome. I don't even know where. Alternate settings. Are we going to have access to their students' logins, or will some of the logins such as So Terry, this may be some encouraging news for you. And is Terry still here? Oh yeah, she is. Okay. Yes. Okay, thank you. So one of the apps that's being purchased, again, this list keeps coming up. One of the things being purchased is something called ClassLinks, and it is a single sign-on, just like Clever, for those of us who've been around a little bit and may have seen that in different settings. And what that's supposed to do, the way Greg Bagby describes it to me, is it's going to place tiles on the desktop, each tile representing a connection to a different website or service or whatever. So if you guys have used like our Chromebooks before, you would see there was that bookmark spot where it'd say HCD bookmarks, and you click on that and they would have reading eggs and iReady and all that stuff that they could go to. But the kids still had to know their passwords and usernames, or the teacher would give them out, on a piece of paper and they'd type them in. ClassLinks is supposed to be a single sign-on, which means that just by virtue of getting into the Chromebook or knowing maybe their Google password, that might be the one they have to know, it'll sign them into everything. So they won't need to have remember their password for iReady. They won't need to worry about their password for reading eggs or any of that. It's just going to be that one single sign-on. So it sounds like pretty close to perfect world if they can just remember one password, which we know that could be tricky in and of itself. But if they can get one, they'll get into one password to rule them all, right? They'll get into everything with that. So will they have to have it the first time? If I understand that question, you're asking, will they have to have like their reading eggs password the first time? Yeah, no, they won't, right? Like from the beginning, this integration is going to be built in behind the scenes. So they just will need to have and again, I haven't been told what their master password is going to be, but they're just going to have that. And it will connect through the magic of technology. Did that answer your question, Terry? Oh, yay, magic. All right. Sounds great. That's perfect. Ghazi, I think Terry could be our friend. I don't know. We'll have to see. All right, I've got a few lurkers, just checking to see if anyone else. Oh, here we go. Another question. Community ClassDojo. Yeah, so like a teacher and parent can do that directly, just like as if it was, with Remind, right? We can go back and forth, that's fine. What I did have was a question earlier about someone saying, can parents of one kid communicate with parents of another kid? No, they can't do that, except maybe through the comments of Class Story. That could be it. All right, take it easy, Jessica. But yeah, that's the extent of it. So there's no parent-parent communication, but parent-teacher, absolutely. And just like Remind, there's quiet hours you can set as a teacher, so you don't have to feel obligated to respond when parents send something at 11 p.m. or whatever.
Perfect. Awesome. Thanks a bunch for your help.
All right, no problem.